Welcome to TIA Talks. I'm Jason, your host, and this is where we start the conversation that brings change to the industry we so love. Today we've got Refilwe and Denise, and it's so good to have two women on the other side of the table. I generally have two guys, and I must tell you, it has been a testosterone-filled conversation, and I'm just quite keen to hear some feminine, or have some feminine flair in this one. Also, you guys look great, so I'm so glad I got a haircut. Chris Appiner, you must know that I got my fade because of you. Okay, so that's one thing. But thank you very much. Denise, I'm going to start with you. Maybe you can just tell us a bit about yourself and exactly what you do in the industry and your role.
Sure.
Yeah.
So KEU, so at the time Kaleidoscope Entertainment Underwriters, was born 23 years, almost 24 years ago. I worked in the corporate field in AIG as an entertainment underwriter, and there was an opportunity to start a fresh UMA. At the time, it was a lot easier. We didn't have half the legislation that we have today. So on the 1st of April 2001, Kaleidoscope was born, and from my children's playroom, I started underwriting policies, always just doing entertainment. But people, when they think about entertainment insurance, they're not quite clear as to how vast this industry is. So we started film and television, still being our biggest book of business, and then events. We have quite a bit of events cancellation, events liability, but also things like price indemnity, hole-in-ones, casino competitions, and so forth. So it's very wide. We insure equipment all risks, so we insure setups like this, and then all the liabilities that goes with it.
Sure. So I'll talk to the guys at the studio for the insurance. As a broker, I'm definitely going to try and get some business. One of the brokers that visited actually did try and get the business already. I was a little bit too late, and my business partners will probably be a bit miffed about that.
Oh, very innovative, very quick on the go.
But next time, event insurance and all of those other cool things that you mentioned.
Yes.
I just wanted to, just for the consumers that are watching as well and listening, a UMA specifically.
Yes.
What is the place for UMA and what does it stand for exactly?
So an underwriting manager is not big enough to hold an insurance license. So we underwrite, our license is with Centric, and Centric is owned by Santam. So it gives us the flexibility to almost act as an insurer, but in a much smaller scale. So we can be quick on the turn when it comes to policy wordings or product innovation. So whatever the market needs, we can quickly adjust to it. So we're not a division of a big corporate. We are in our own legal entity, but we can move quickly and with the strength of a very big insurer behind us.
Yeah, so you got Big Daddy watching over you.
Yes, and compliance and legal and everything else that everybody needs.
Yeah, and the space for UMA has changed, well, it goes in cycles almost.
Yes.
I mean, I've seen it, I've been around for 10 years, and I think I've seen it twice. Maybe I could be wrong. You guys are the experts, but I've seen the cycle of UMAs where a lot of them come to market.
Yes.
A lot of new products because I think the industry changes in the same way, and then they get absorbed by insurance companies, and the cycle continues. You guys have been around outside of an insurance company the whole time.
Yes, we have.
You haven't been absorbed or anything like that, and
No.
that's actually it's. I must say that's actually quite a feather in your cap, I think.
Thank you.
Because it's a business that's been around for a long time, and that just shows legacy, longevity, and that you know what you're doing. I could
passion.
be wrong, but
hopefully by now we've learned what we've been doing.
Yeah.
So it's an absolute passion for what we are doing, and we've been fortunate to have some offers on the table, but it was never a right fit for us. And by us, you know, it's a small team. My daughter works with me and has been for the last 10 years. But for us, we quite like the environment that we are in. So you fall on your own sword if that's what it takes.
Yeah.
But you can move and you can make changes. So for us, it's been the right decision thus far.
Yeah.
But yes, it does go in cycles. When I started out, there were not a lot of UMAs. It was not a big thing that was happening in the market. And then, as you say, with all the specialities out there, people start UMAs. It becomes very onerous with compliance and legislation, and to make sure that you bring that in. So you need a really good partner that understands a UMA and that understands how that whole structure works. So with Centric, we've been incredibly fortunate, you know, so we've got the compliance and the legal and the technical wording expertise sitting in the background, assisting us by doing what we like to do and what we love to do.
And those relationships that have lasted so long, I think those are powerful relationships to have. I mean, a lot of UMAs that actually have been around for a long time have had good partners the whole time. And I think that's also something that I've seen from the insurers that we don't hear of often, like Centric and those guys. They look after their UMAs, just from a broker's point of view. That's kind of what I've seen. And it's quite nice to see that your business has been looked after for many, many years.
Exactly.
You know? And not only by them, but by you. So yeah, hats off.
Very well at that.
Refilwe, over to you. So obviously we met recently through TIA, the Insurance Apprentice, and you were an ex-contestant. I don't like saying ex-contestant because
Alumni.
Yeah, alumni. That's a new thing. So the TIA alumni is out and about. So we can check it out on social media and everything. So we are alumni. Refilwe, you at GIB, if I'm So what do you do at GIB? And you're obviously a part of the broker space, and I love that. I always have a broker sitting on the other side of me, so it's exciting.
You don't mind many of us.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot of us. We just always working, I think, but not right now. So again, I say this in every freaking episode. Like, please email me again, or I'll get back to you after the episode. Okay.
We've got our offices on.
Yeah. Okay. So Refilwe, tell me, what do you do, and what is your role at GIB? Yeah. Give me a little bit of an update for everyone.
Well, I work in the film and entertainment division. Brokers. I'm a client exec. I particularly focus on advertising agency, insurance related to that. I do also do for production house as well, events, quite broad as Denise said. So I have been in the industry for 7, almost 8 years or so. So I am still learning. I still love the industry. I still find it quite fascinating. And I'm excited. I think I'm still excited about it.
Yeah, we all are kind of, everyone that joins me here loves the industry.
Yes.
And I think that's an important thing. You know, a lot of people, I mean, I've seen guys in different industries kind of talk about the industry in a way that doesn't get me excited, like you mentioned. And for me, I'm very excited about what's going on in the insurance industry. And just like we said, the cycles, things are changing again.
Yes,
and,
yes.
I mean, technology, and I've mentioned AI before, but I think there's so much else that's coming. And I'm really, really keen to see those changes. It sounds like you guys have worked together in the past, or still do. What's the relationship? How long have you guys known each other? And where? Yeah.
Refilwe, we've known each other
2018, if I'm.
I almost thought you were going to say 28 years. Refilwe, I don't think you're even that old.
It's been a long time. So what is always so nice about our field is that it's really specialist. So you do not have a lot of brokers nor underwriters that's really a passion for it. You know, we do have brokers that come in and out of it, but you know, if once you're addicted to this, this is it. You know, this is our poison that we have to do. And it's been, a lot has changed since 2018. Our market has changed. Technology has changed immensely.
Appetite has changed. Budgets have changed.
Oh, word,
Everything has changed. I think when I first entered the industry, grad, so I didn't know anything really. And fast forward to 2024, I feel like if anyone were to start at this point, they have so much to work with, to look at, which is so beneficial for youngsters who are looking to get into any career, really. I think when I met Denise, ago,
6 years ago,
I think that the industry was very quiet around film entertainment. For me, I think insurance as a whole, I didn't just fall into it. A lot of people fell into it.
Oh, wait, so you didn't fall into it?
I didn't.
You're the first.
Yeah.
I think we need to ring a bell. And, like, you're the first. Did you fall into insurance?
I did.
Okay, there we
I
go.
didn't fall into it. I actually have a degree in insurance and risk management.
So you can actually study insurance now?
Yes.
Okay, I did not know that.
So I did my honors in it. Yeah. So I actually chose the career. I found it very, very interesting at a young age. So getting into the industry, I was very inquisitive, but whatever it was that I learned in school has nothing
To do with what
to
you're
do
doing
with what
now.
I'm doing now. So when I was first told about this, I was like, oh, so I get to go to concerts
Oh,
and,
yes.
you know,
And
rugby
film
games and
sets.
film sets and
Oh, it's so cool.
Speaking of
So
film
cool.
sets, one just there was a fire just before
Yes.
the
Yeah.
episode. I don't know if you want to just break down what exactly happened so people understand what the cover looks like. Maybe I don't know.
Yeah, so for film, it's very different. So film, everything that you can imagine behind and in front of camera. So it starts with the person holding the camera, the building in which you are filming. So whether that be a studio or a center or an area like this, everything, the chair, the speaker, the camera, the shoes that you wear.
The
and
stuntman is the
the
stuntman.
stuntman.
Oh, the stuntman's
Yes.
covered.
Yes.
Oh wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
comprehensively.
yeah, the
And-
cars you use
Yes.
to
car,
transport.
yeah, back and forward.
So it's like a Top Gear thing.
All
fully
of that.
covered.
Even ones
Action
that appear
vehicles.
Yeah.
Yeah.
full camera, yeah.
Wow.
Yes. Yeah. So really everything that happens on the film set, and it starts with pre-production, which is very often 2 months or 3 months before filming actually commences. And people forget all the liability that surrounds it. So
Do you cover the poor script that was written and then they rewrite it or not really?
no,
Okay.
no. So that we can't do.
Very
So
little we can do about that.
yeah, the trade risk. I have to say, sometimes we read some of these storyboards and scripts,
Yes.
and some of them are just really, you think that's good, or whatever rocks you. But there are instances, and especially when we're ensuring all the Christmas ads that's coming through, it was now a bit earlier in the season. It is so heartwarming. It is so creative. It is
And
just
some
so
are
beautiful.
truly South African.
Yes.
Yeah.
There was one very big cell phone provider that has written a story that is just so heartwarmingly.
And it's coming up.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
So to be part of this and to be part of almost the story making, so we are the boring part or the serious
we the
part
contract.
of. Yes. we read the contract
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
nobody signs.
Wow,
We are
sure.
those parties. But I think we are still part of it. We are creative about it. The animals, when they use animals on sets.
Yes.
How long does a duckling live? How many ducklings? What's the mortality rate for a duckling on
Are
a
those
shoot?
underwriting questions that you ask?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh my word. Okay, so I'm speaking to two underwriters. Let me touch on this quickly because underwriting has changed
Yeah.
Yes.
over the last few years, and not just in your space, but in general. I've mentioned it before, but we've got the actuaries creating these rates on a black box kind of system that all our underwriters in the industry can use and click a button and get the rate for this vehicle in Zanin that, whatever. Now, I find it annoying, black box, because I think that an underwriter looks at a risk and on an individual basis, it kind of identifies what risk for this specific client is needed and or to have cover. So for me, I just find that underwriters, I learned how much a rate needs to be for a specific building or a specific car. And that was exciting for me because I could pick up then where the risk would lie. And it gives me a little bit of a kind of a way into the client's life a little bit. It's not just a computer pushing out a rate. Now, on your side, the underwriting side, you've got black box, and then you've got guys that are skilled enough to understand what's going on.
Yes.
But I'm seeing that skills gap is now just getting a little bit bigger, rather, in terms of underwriters knowing how to underwrite correctly.
I think the biggest thing is access to information. Writing. A couple of years back, you probably wouldn't have seen too much of what has been done or too much of what's happening in a script, or you wouldn't have seen dangers or actual stats of the loss. So now that we've got so much access to information, that also helps us see or assess a risk a lot better. When it comes to things like stunts, when it comes to animals would be on set. You look at past events, if they've used a dog, I think it's relatively low risk if you have like an
Okay.
who's
question
able
is
to
if
work
there's
with
not.
the dog and things
Okay.
like that. Yes. So the more information that we have and we collect, it helps us in the future. So I know that 10 years down the line, everything that we've worked on so far will help us to assess it a lot better than an actuary who's sitting with just numbers. We are able to actually see what's happening on set. We are actually able to view a claim fully.
So do you think that underwriting is then moving away from actually knowing what a rate would look like and more looking at assessing the risk and managing that risk and identifying what
and
risks
the severity?
Yes,
Yeah.
because the claims are immediate in our industry, and we know it immediately. So set burns down, we are
Well, that's
advised.
exactly the point. Yeah, so
Yeah.
it burns
So
down, they phone you.
You can't do underwriting at claim stage, especially not in our business. It either rains, they're busy filming, it rains or it doesn't.
Yeah.
So or you've got a sick child actor, or you've got a dog that just doesn't want to perform, or an elephant that doesn't want to get up. So if you don't do that up front, and our budget sometimes is in excess of $1 million per day that's lost, you cannot go back and ask the question.
Yeah.
So the amount of emails that we share per day, even, I mean, people are astounded at the amount of work that goes into a 1-day policy, because that's all we do is 1 day or 3 days or 4 days, and it doesn't renew again. So we don't see that insured with that production and that budget or storyboard. The next time it's something new.
Yeah.
So will they have a monster truck next time on set? And are they, rebuilding, I don't know, one of the stadiums into a big car park, for instance, for one of the scenes that they are doing? So we have a lot of information daily that we work with. And that has become also a lot more, I think, relaxed between brokers and underwriters, because our purpose in life is here to assist the insured, to make them secure, financially secure. Because to take all of your equipment to set, that's already 5 to 10 million. You've got a budget that you need to shoot, that's $1 million. You've got a very important actress that's there. If she's not there on that day, you lose the $1 million and you can't get her back because there's conflict in diaries and so forth. So, yeah, I think we work really hard to make sure that that's there and secure. And if it goes wrong, pay the claim.
Sure. I've learned so much right now. I didn't even know that you could do all of this stuff. So, I mean, I knew of event insurance, and I have had a few musicians ask me for cover, for their concerts and things like that. Zakes Mantwini, shout out. So I had to mention it. That's just a name drop, okay? But
It's a huge one.
it is, it is. But if he would look for cover, would go to you guys. And I think it's quite cool seeing these different niche products pop up all over the place. I really enjoy it. It gives me something to be excited about as a broker, to offer something a little bit different.
Yes.
And it opens up opportunities for me to have those discussions with different clients. Just in terms of event insurance, a lot of guys that are watching and listening would try and put together some sort of package for them. I don't know. Where would they start? Would they just contact you or contact a broker? Because you guys obviously work directly with brokers, right?
So they would contact me.
They would contact you. Okay. And does the underwriting then start up front then? So you ask them all the questions and all of those things happen. So my question actually around asking all the questions is around disclosure and all of those things. I find that a lot of people don't know that they should be giving all of this information. And I've seen some of my clients get annoyed because I ask too many questions. Are you seeing the trend of people just getting impatient with underwriting because it's so vital, but we don't want to do it?
I think the whole concept of insuring anything to a lot of people outside of the industry is system for them. They don't think about if really things were to go, what position would I be holding, or what legal liability do I have to make sure that everything is replaced or everyone who is there is catered for. So, I mean, we've got the proposal forms and things, standard questions. But at the same time, not every event is the same. You don't have events with 50 people, 1,000 people in a stadium. You have 10 people. We have like that. So risks are not the same, and not everyone is doing the same thing. You can stunt activity. You can have events with people that have a lot of vendors. So there's risks everywhere all the time. There's also events with children. and obviously there's extra
And
precaution.
pyrotechnics. There's some
Yeah,
random
exactly.
singer, on stage.
Yes.
Yeah, so I mean, they will get annoyed with the questions, but if you don't ask, at the end of the day, if something goes wrong and you didn't tell them, your fault.
It's up to
You're
us.
the expert.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I need to add to that is that a broker with knowledge makes a big difference. So when Refilwe gets something on her desk, we would very often have a discussion first before the first set of question goes to the insured. I understand that you don't want to go back 5 times,
Yeah.
but to have an insightful broker that actually thinks about risk, like children at events, I mean, that's a big criteria for us. Is the pyro cold or new? And there's new Pyrotechnics and Fireworks Act that's going to be promulgated. So what does it say in terms of your safety officer and so forth? So there is a lot of discussion for a one-day event. It doesn't matter whether it's for 1 day or 3 days. The amount of underwriting that goes into that is exactly the same. Yeah. So we don't want to overwhelm them, but the event organizer has a lot of information at hand. They often don't read their contract, so we do it on their behalf.
True.
So you would ask them limit of liability. Don't know.
We don't know. Yeah.
But it's stipulated in the
left
contract.
blank.
And it's in
a
the
thumbs up.
contract.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So we read contracts and we make sure that the I's are dotted and the T's are crossed, because that's ultimately where we step in. So to have a knowledgeable broker that understands and thoroughly reads through everything is really important from an underwriter's
I
point of view.
appreciate that note very much. I mean, as a broker, we get a lot of flack, and I'm just
Yes.
chuffed that everybody that has been here has said something nice about us brokers. Okay, guys, so I'm really, I kind of get a good idea of what you do in the industry, and I want to touch on something that might not be event insurance, but potentially just kind of your heart around insurance and the industry as a whole. I've seen a lot of trends in the insurance industry where it's not any different to other industries, specifically around almost equality in the workplace and those type of things. Now, I'm sitting with 2 lovely women in front of me, and I just want to know, from your perspective, how has it played out for you in your career, knowing that you are a woman and you are a Black woman, and where does this go, and how can we help other women in the industry? Because funny enough, insurance, I could be wrong. I don't know the statistics. I just go with what I see. There are a lot of powerful insurance women out there. I mean, women in insurance. We've got the whole Gauteng woman of insurance and all sorts of things. I've seen so many. And I don't know if it's an industry thing that we just supporting our women, or if it's something that you guys have fought to get through and actually make something of yourselves. Denise, I want to start with you, and maybe you can touch on that, Chow.
So when I entered the industry, which was about 30 years ago, it looked very different to what it is today. So going to work into London, or I had to report into Paris and London, going to those meetings, there were very few and far women in those boardrooms, and very few women that actually made decisions. So obviously that has changed significantly. Running my own company now for 23 years, by default, women are employed easier maybe by me, but you still have some issues that we need to consider. So maternity leave, I think, is still a very big issue in this market. COVID has removed a lot of those barriers, but to have a lady that's just given birth and 2 months or 3 months or 4 months later has to be there whilst baby is sick, it's still predominantly a women problem, less so or more so than it is for the daddy or the man of the household. So we have to be empathetic with what's happening. But I think women in general has a lot more empathy. They've got a different take on risk and management style, and we have to embrace that. You can't have one and not the other. I mean, both works equally well, but we have to be clear that women has different challenges, and you need to make that work for them, because ultimately you will have then the best employee.
Yeah, and have you changed the way that you manage over the years? Not just as a woman, but just in general,
I think so. I think business also, teaches you some different life skills. So first is to have some more empathy. Your little world and your little bubble is not the whole of the world. It's only your existence, not everybody else's existence. But to get input from other people out of different aspects of the market is absolutely crucial. Look at how other people view a risk or life or the office or the setup or whatever the case might be. I think if we stop talking and start listening, life becomes so much easier. And then take all of that together and make it work. I think COVID, which was a decimator of our industry, we lost everything. We lost all our insurance,
Almost
our
had to
industry.
restart.
We did.
Yeah.
But that also taught us different life lessons, that we all can sit at home and work. And the Teams meeting is so much easier. And
More
so,
efficient sometimes, yeah.
absolutely. So, if you have a lady and the baby is sick, let them be at home. Let them be there and not stressed at the office. My children grew up in office buildings. So they started crawling whilst I was sitting in boardrooms. Be that good or bad, So that was just my reality. But I think technology has changed and has advanced. Work with it. Make, we as a South African, as another woman, can we not just make it a little bit easier for each other?
Yeah.
And embrace and uplift, because we've got so much good to give at the end of it.
Do you think that, I've seen obviously like Women in Insurance, the Gauteng one, and all those, which I don't know much about because I'm not a woman. But do you think there's a space for a lot of, for this type of change to happen? Like, I think this collaborative kind of thing to work together with other women to actually help other businesses see how you should manage the staff in this way, or how would you say you would kind of touch on this issue?
So it's interesting. I think it's more to do with the individual, with the person, than it is whether you're a male or a female.
Yeah.
So what can you offer to the table? And I've had very stern discussions with men in a certain business environment, and this is the only way. So less empathy, and sometimes that's needed. So I think you need to learn from both ends of it. Inherently, I'm a woman, so my thinking is going to be different and my management style is going to be different. But I think, yes, I think if we can work together as an industry, we are here to provide a service to society, to our, to the financial stability of the country. What we do is really important. If we don't provide a service, the internationals, the Netflix will not film in South Africa.
Yeah.
The Tubies and Amazon and all those that brings in billions of rands each year will dissipate. So understand your role, have empathy, but don't overemphasize that. I don't take away from women in saying because you're a woman, you have to X. Because you're a woman, you can also work. It doesn't actually matter. Your brain matter doesn't change because you're male or female.
Yeah.
But we have to make provisions for women because life is slightly different.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think for every good broker, there's a team of at least 17 women behind him. I'm just letting you know. Refilwe.
Yes.
And I just wanted to kind of touch a little bit around your story as well. You chose to be in the industry.
Yes.
You climb in the corporate ladder. How does that look for a woman in insurance, and specifically a Black woman in insurance? Because I think there's a lot of issues that we have all over the country that we're trying to sort out, and everyone's trying to, be better at and whatever. But, it's personal for you. And I'd like to hear a little bit about your story and just how you've overcome certain things.
I think for me, to start off, I'm a born free. So
Even me.
I think coming into the industry, I wouldn't say would be the same as women are of my race around the time when she started. Obviously, it was a lot more difficult, and also it stems from how things were traditionally. Traditional household, a lot of women would stay home and work. So that's changed over the years. So me coming into the industry at this stage is a little bit different. But at the same time, there is a little bit of a ceiling sometimes because of the background. Our parents didn't have the same opportunities that we have today. So you get to experience things slightly differently, but I wouldn't say it has been too much of a struggle in that instance. But for a woman, I mean, I would say insurance is a predominant industry
Yeah.
when I first entered. Specifically, film and entertainment, you don't find a lot. You don't.
That's surprising.
True.
Actually.
Yeah, you don't find a lot of black women. So it was very exciting, also uncharted territories to get into. I probably, in my space, only knew about, I would say, 3 or 4 other black women who did film and insurance. So
I only know one.
so that really it encouraged me to stay, but not just stay, but to do well.
Yeah.
And almost be a true representation of the growing black female in this industry. And it's an exciting industry. Insurance as a whole, I think I'm still trying to learn a few tricks and tips. And I say this because the industry, especially when it comes to networking, meeting new people, there's a lot of like,
Yeah.
unfortunately, not my bad.
Yeah.
I grew up in Soweto.
I grew up in Sophia Town.
You see, yeah. So
I didn't play golf.
I didn't play golf. I didn't know it. And when you step into an industry like this, in order to meet people, in order to network and get to know different people, it is assumed that, play golf with this particular person.
And now
you'll-
paddle's the new thing.
and now paddle's the new thing. But I think from that, it has inspired me to think a little bit differently. How can my generation network without having to hold on to these traditions that have already kind of created barriers for some of us who don't come from the same background? So I'm starting to think about things differently, and even networking is easier without having to do all of that work and just focus on, I want to get to know you as a fellow broker in the industry or an insurer or whatever it is. I am trying to build relationships authentically without having to hold on to old traditions that don't work for me as a young black woman.
How would you do that? So what out of the box things could we implement as an industry where we could fix this, or to just kind of plug the holes a little bit?
I think it stems from individualism. So as a person, what do you like to do? I mean, if you're a person who likes to read books and things
Or
like
play
that,
golf?
But yeah, so you don't necessarily need to do all these sports and outdoorsy type of things. I am part of the Gauteng Women Insurance.
Is that it? Okay.
Yes,
I'll get it right next time.
And they do quite a lot of different things outside of the golf. We have like a lot of talks and people coming in, inspirational or motivational speakers. They come in to talk to us about different things. But there's different spaces to do different things. And I think that we can always find a very innovative way to meet each other halfway. So for example, I am not a work bunny. I hardly do any sports.
Now them,
I hardly do. But I love inviting people out for a coffee, but even doing other things like
book club. Book club.
I don't know, not necessarily.
Yeah, we can do pottery painting or
Whatever.
But like I would say spaces around creative spaces.
Yeah.
I lost my train of thought. A music listening session. So I would grab someone, do you like music? Let's go to a music listening session.
Yeah.
And I would rather just meet someone and
do that.
Yeah. Like have whatever, like a coffee, whatever you do.
But these initiatives, I think, are doing a lot of these different wonderful things.
But they like doing it in a group setting, and I
so more
love
one-on-one.
One-on-one. I feel like the best way to get to know a person is from a one-on-one perspective rather than a group setting.
Or on a podcast like this.
yes.
Yeah. But I'm trying to change the narrative. I mean, it's not always where you get to do the golfing and the paddles. They're great. I'm not going to ridicule them. They are great. But from an individual who loves the one-on-one, take it to a music listening session and let's talk about everything and relate it to our personal lives. Because if you don't know anyone really,
what's the relationship
what's
you're
the
actually
relationship
building?
that you're
Yeah, definitely. Denise, what advice would you give a man in insurance to say, like, what could I do better? You know, and I'm asking that question personally because I work with just women really. And that's, I mean, I always have. I was a teacher and all the teachers were women as well. So, I mean, I've always been around women. But I've learned to kind of manage myself a lot better. And I need to continue to manage myself and look at myself a lot, you know, because often just the way we think is quite different.
Yes.
And often it's not wrong, you know, whereas as a guy mansplaining or all of those type of things, I'm in the wrong often, you know. So I just want to know, as a man, what can I do differently or better in the industry? And
Well, admitting is always the first start point, isn't it?
Thank goodness. My wife will be so happy that I did that.
Well trained. I think to not assume. But maybe that's true of society. When you walk into a boardroom, do not assume that you know or that you understand the individual or their circumstances. I think be more open to fact-finding, but to listen to hear and not to listen to respond type of thing. That I find very, it's just frustrating more than anything. So listen to hear, to collaborate. But I think that has changed a lot. You know, I'm against being completely woke. It's very stressful.
Yeah.
I mean, I was born in the 70s. This is really stressful for me. Grew up in the 80s.
Stressful for me too, and I'm young.
I woke up this morning. That's the only woke thing that I know, you know.
So that is really stressful. But then, yes, it has changed into saying, let's have more open conversations and be more open as to the way that we do business and the way that we interact. I think that has changed already. I think that's taken place. Men should not be put down. I mean, obviously, we work so well together. We have to have all in the office. It's really, really needed. But yeah, for me, it's listen to hear.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, since Genesis 1 verse 1, it's man and woman
Yes.
for the rest of time.
Absolutely.
So we've got to learn to like kind of get along and you know, do these things
Yes.
well.
And I think women empowerment and, you know, always supporting the women, all good. But at the same time, it doesn't mean that we're more
Yes.
yeah.
Because there is a switch to that, because I think a lot of mental health with men,
Yes.
all of these things coming out of COVID. I mean, I had a death in the family too, you know, where this was a thing, and it's difficult. I've been there myself, you know. We want to talk too,
and should be listened to.
And should be listened to, you know. And I think sometimes the platform for us to be heard, and there goes my pen, for us to be heard is sometimes quite difficult, because you've had a platform, you know, for a long time. But now I think those things are kind of moving together.
Yes.
And
I think so.
And I think it's not woman in the workplace, it's human in the workplace.
Yes.
You know, it's the person
We
now
all
that we're
want to
looking.
play.
I mean, you mentioned empathy. You
Yes.
know, I mean, a guy needs to be empathetic when he's a leader, and so does a woman. You know, and I think that's so important. So I think the path that we're on is probably a good one, as men and women together in the industry and just in general. And I'm liking the fact that we are doing something about it. You know, even if it's something just for the woman or just for the men, you know, it's still promoting it. And I'm seeing that in the industry. We've got a lot of those small things and little things that happen. You know, the rumblings. The question of the day for me, and I'm going to start with you, Refilwe. We've touched on a few issues in the insurance industry, but we love this industry that is actually amazing. You know, it's not all doom and gloom, and, you know, we only touch on issues really because they're there. But I wanted to find out from you if there's something pressing on your heart that you would like to change in the industry, or if you've got something that you are already impacting that you want to make more of an impact in. And as I ask this because we've got listeners that want to get involved in a lot of different initiatives. We've got insurers who are listening who want to make these changes. And we've got people that just want a spark to just kind of fly into flame, and Refilwe, maybe what is I like to call it a burden in the insurance industry.
Thorn.
What is your thorn in your flesh? Yeah.
I think the biggest thing for me is that it's kind of just call center type industry.
It's viewed as that.
Yeah, it's viewed as that. Anyone who's ever asked, so you in the call center, selling me car insurance, and it's much bigger than that. It's much broader than that. I think more awareness of what this industry is for me would be so incredible. I think I got lucky because I did my research before I got into it.
And you were on TIA.
Yeah, so I am really grateful for how much knowledge I was able to get just from the research, but not everyone is privy to that. I'm very passionate about young people and education, especially in South Africa. I've been a part of different initiatives, mentoring, and things like that. So I would love in the near future to be able to be a direct influence on young people who would really just want the industry. This industry is broad, it's big. And not only that, without our industry, I think a lot of businesses would have probably gone out.
Our whole economy
would
kind of just fail.
So it's more than just making sure that I've got money if something goes wrong. It could literally save people's jobs.
So educating people about
educating, yeah. So I think that's my biggest thing, education.
I'll hold you to it. It's on camera now and will be on the internet forever.
Yeah.
So in a few years' time, I hope to see Refilwe doing something about not only consumer education, but just education in general around products and what we do internally.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of space for us to really influence the spaces, places, and relationships that we're in. And you've got a good platform to do it. So all the best to you, Refilwe, and thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Denise, I'm going to leave the last word to you. What is your burden in the insurance industry, or what is your heart wanting to change or make a difference in?
I think I'm going to add to that with the consumer education is that I have yet to meet an insurance individual that's not passionate in doing the right thing. With that comes all the compliance that we have to do, and there's a reason for it. And we are doing this to keep the economy of South Africa safe and sound. We have a real important role to play in every little thing that we do. You have to see the bigger picture. You have to see how the one builds the other. So if we do not insure the film, you do not have a hotel that's full of international crew. You do not have a chauffeur that's driving. You do not have a lodge that's not fully booked, and so forth and so forth. So the one thing leads to the other. Consumers need to understand that insurance is never a grudge payment. It's a risk management tool needed by the whole of society. And if somebody says to me, well, they also say, well, what do you do? I sell insurance. They all go like backpedaling.
Yeah,
it's like,
my hair goes up in the back of my head.
Yeah, please just don't sell me anything. And then they would say normally typical insurance, or you do insurance. So whether it's entertainment or not, can you just sort out my car insurance?
Yeah.
No, I cannot actually.
Yeah, you can get naked for that with Malume or something,
So I think consumer education is so important for them to understand why we do compliance, why do we ask the question, and what is the actual service. It's about us phoning a loss adjuster and fire marshals. We activate things when there's a claim. When things go wrong, we actually do that. We've got a team of legal that's there to protect you. Use it. See it for what it is. And it's not a grudge.
Yeah. No, I love that. It's a risk management tool.
Yes.
And I think I'm going to close off with that. Denise, Refilwe, it has been amazing having you guys here. I thoroughly enjoyed this conversation. And I really hope to bring some change into the industry based on this conversation. Hopefully somebody's listening and it just kind of ignites something in them, to make a difference or just, build their own career in insurance like you guys have. So thank you very much for your time. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Jason.